Hello and welcome to episode 21 of my Mind, Body, Spirit series. In this video, I'm talking about spirit. So it's always my favorite thing to talk about, spirit, and they just made fun of me and they said, thing, we're not a thing, we're an energy. So before I made this video, I had a short meditation. I asked to be a clear channel for the messages that they were to give to you, and they said, they gave me a list of things, and then they said, oh, we'll just talk through you. Okay. So, I know I say so a lot. It's like my favorite word. One of them, they want to tell you that you are beautiful and that you were created in the likeness of God. In that, you were energy first, you were spirit first before you're put into this body. And they said from the time you're born to, the time you are now in your life, many of you have forgotten your mission that you have on this planet. I get really excited when I start channeling, my energy goes up, and so they told me to put, I have a piece of obsidian, like a big piece, and they told me to put my feet on it to keep me nice and level and grounded. So that may be something you want to do if you decide that you want to channel or you're channeling, and you find that you vibrate too high and you have this experience where you feel like you're like hyperactive, you're flying out of your body, and you want to be nice and calm and grounded. So that's what a grounding stone will do for you, and I find that it's keeping me nice and level-headed. And actually, I can feel the draw that it has on my feet to the stone, so that's really good. I'm very sensitive that way. So many of you watching this may have picked rocks as a child, and they're telling me that you were just naturally collecting things that were close and dear to your heart, and so crystals are an extension of that, and they're saying that there are great manifestors of the energy. So when you feel that there's some energy that you need in your life, you go to the store that sells crystals and you pick something that is drawn to you and you're drawn to it. It's like a symbiotic relationship, right? They come together, and look at this, hey, this is so beautiful. Herkimer diamonds. And it stays with you for the amount of time it's meant to. So I wear this Herkimer diamond necklace. It's like loose inside this little glass case whenever I go out, and I usually just put it inside my shirt, and I find that it keeps my heart space nice and clean and clear. And they're saying to me, not really. They said I've done a lot of work to keep my heart space clear, and they said that I had a lot of clutter energetically in my life that I've been clearing for the past 6 to 8 months. So they said I've been doing a good job. I've been doing a lot of work on myself. So if you're frustrated with your spiritual progress, that just means there's some, they're saying, there's some debris to clear. And so in clearing debris, it's not always pretty. It can get quite nasty sometimes in terms of seeing something that you're doing that is not conducive to a graceful life. So recently, I've been doing a lot of past life regression work on myself, and I've seen some lives where, yeah, I wasn't that nice, and some horrible lives. And so, on this planet, there's duality, and it's something that we have to deal with all the time. Some lives we've been good, and sometimes we've been not so good. So in this life, I feel I've chosen to clean up a lot of the messes that I've created in past life. Now, the interesting thing is that sometimes when you're cleaning up your life, the people who are in your life don't want you to rise to the top. They want to keep you down there where they are. Not down like that, but down there where they are, where there's judgment and judgment and judgment and judgment. So that was something that I really wanted to be conscious of when in clearing my energy, is that I wanted to be released from being judgmental, because judgment is good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, we do have to compare things, and sometimes we have to judge, especially in the educational world, where is this kid? Is this kid where they're supposed to be? Why are they not progressing as much as they should? And so judgment is good in that way. However, judgment in terms of human spirituality, my favorite thing. We are not meant to judge other people in terms of their spiritual choice, their spiritual progress, or anything. So as long as it doesn't, as long as it doesn't bring harm to other people. So if you've ever been part of, a group or like anything, or even a culture or something where they have forced things on you, obviously that's not really meant to help you grow and have success, because it's like keeping you down there. So we want to have open-mindedness, we want to be non-judgmental, and we want to be able to progress the way we're meant to, because obviously we're all different, right? We're not meant to progress the same way. They told me I was doing a good job so far of channeling the messages, because it comes into my head and it comes out of my mouth, and they're not my words, my conscious mind likes to try to take control of it, but it's not supposed to. So that's that struggle that I'm not the only one who has that struggle. You probably have it too. It's like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Why is this happening? Oh, this is magical. So lately, I'm hearing some of you might have been seeing signs in license plates, like numbers, repeated numbers, or something like that. Or you might have seen what you in anything like repetition. So when you have repetition in your life, it's spirit is just showing you. They're giving you a little treat, and we're gonna talk about playing a game with them. So they're giving you a treat to let you know that you're on the right path. You're in the right place at the right time. You're doing the right thing. You're treating people the right way. You're treating people equally, and you're not harboring resentment and judgment. And those people who do are generally just not really happy with themselves. And that's a reminder that when we look at people like that, they're just not happy, and they're just projecting their frustration with being on this planet, basically. So if you're living in love and light and you're feeling all happy, you may appear to people that you're on some sort of substance, but that's what happened to me a while ago. This one person said to me, like, what do you do to be so happy? I'm like, I just eat nice food, that's all, and I work out, like I exercise, I feel good. But she couldn't really understand it, so that was interesting, because again, so coming from a judgmental point of view, thinking that if you're happy, you generally have to be on some sort of substance like alcohol or drugs or something. But when you're really happy, you show it. And then that song, if you're happy and you know what, clap your hands, that comes into my mind, like when you work with the younger kids, because they're generally, most children are happy, like they have food in their belly, they have a clean diaper, they're happy, warm place to live. Like, it's not that difficult to make children happy. But as we age, it gets more and more difficult to be happy, and then we're like, what is the meaning of my life? And suddenly we have to go on this tangent where we're trying to figure out who we are and what we're meant to do. But when you're connected to your spiritual self, they're telling me, and that's your superconscious self, whoa, I'm hearing, what a trip. So they're saying there's different ways to connect to your spiritual self, that the superconscious self that's up there in the soul group all the time, and that between lives, when your energy goes up there, when you die and then you go up there, you actually get to do some spiritual work. Some people get to help people, and some people get to be guides. And so you're not always this physical human being. Sometimes you have such amazing adventures outside of this body. And dreaming is an example. If you've ever had flying dreams, that's where you're literally outside of this physical body and you're doing some work, and you have the ability to fly, and you might have those memories of flying dreams. And some people have had them and then they fell and then they got captured or something. I always used to have them. Lately I had a flying dream where I was in a weird situation and I rose out of it and I went flying around in this building and nobody could catch me. It was like, and to me that signifies that I actually have freedom from anyone who's trying to drag me down. So that is an important part. And so if you've been having flying dreams lately, that is symbolic of breaking free, of being constrained and being free enough to do the things that you want to do without being hindered by other people's beliefs, religions, their spirituality or their lack of spirituality. So that's something important to remember. They're saying, they're telling me to talk about card readings. So I've been giving intuitive card readings for several years, and it started when I had the group of friends, and I thought, oh, hey, this would be good. Gather them together, set up an intuitive tarot workshop with lady, Katrina, psychic medium. And so I contacted her, had people lined up and everything, and so she came, and we had a wonderful, wonderful workshop. It's great. If any of you are interested in that, I do offer an intuitive tarot workshop, so you just have to message me. So what you do is you take a deck of cards, and like say you have these cards that you've never used, and you never read the book, or maybe you read the book, and you're like, I don't really get this. When you do a card reading or any other reading, lots of people read without cards. I can do both. I like to use cards because there's some interesting messages that come through the cards, the images in the cards. So I have quite a few decks of cards. A lot of them have animals in them because we all have animals who help us in our lives, and often we have pets who are kind of like, sometimes they're soulmates, sometimes they're guides, sometimes they're, I heard a kind benefactor, someone who is meant to give you love because you're not feeling loved, or you have difficulty being around people. And I'm hearing that some of you who are watching this will know, yeah, that's me. So ever since I was little, I've always loved animals, and they love me too. And so I do have quite a few in my life now, and they come and go because, you know, when you live in the country, sometimes you're down a cat, and that's just like what happens. If they wander away, they walk away. But I always hear, they tell me what happens to them, and or I'll meditate, and I'll get a mental image of what happened to them. So that's something you can do too, and I teach people to connect to the heartstring. So we have energy from our heart. That's our strongest, our emotions are like our strongest drive for success or lack of success. And emotional experiences are always stored in our subconscious mind. That's why past life regression hypnotherapy works so well, for releasing emotions that keep you from having success, or keep you from moving in the right direction, or keeps you from having really healthy relationships and you're stuck in unhealthy relationships, or just a lack of desire to do the things that you've always wanted to do, but you just don't know why you're not doing them. So that's stored in the subconscious mind, and what keeps you there are emotional factors, okay? So when you meditate, you basically are removing everything. You're removing judgment, you're removing emotional attachment to anything. You're just kind of like curious, and you want to know, and you want to see. And so when you meditate and you slow down that conscious mind, I always talk about this, right? Down to about the rated subconscious, you're actually wide open to receive messages, and you're also wide open to learn from your super conscious mind, because it's there, it's meant to help you. So how do you do it? So when you decide to meditate, do it at a time where you have the time, right? So for me, morning is really good. I deliberately get up early, so the first thing I do is I meditate, and I meditate between 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how much time I have in the day. And I find in 20 minutes, I can slow my mind down, and then I can receive messages. And lately I've been given wonderful, wonderful messages. I'm so grateful, because Spirit has said, we are here to help you, which is what I wanted, because for quite a while I struggled without a lot of help from there. And they told me, you wrote this. You said you wanted to try this without our help, so we're letting you. And it was horrible. I was not happy, but okay, so some of the lives I've had, I've been a real smart aleck, and I believe that stemmed from that, well, I can do this, I don't need you, which is not true in any case. We always need help from our friends, from our family, from our pets, from our children, and especially from above, because that is the driving force in our life. And that's why I love talking about spirit in these videos, because spirit has been a huge driving force in my life. I remember I went to a job fair in London. What year was that? I think it was 1999, yeah, like a long time ago. And I was at a crossroads in my life because I wasn't really happy. I wasn't really kind of bored with teaching. Didn't really know if I wanted to be overseas anymore. So I went to this, or no, sorry, that was in Seattle. And I couldn't get an interview with the job that I wanted. And this was actually before I started meditating. So I'm laying in my room, my hotel room, and I'm crying. And I heard a voice in my room that was like some dude was in my room because it was a male voice, and it said, "Everything happens for a reason." And I was like, "What?" And so I thought, okay, that's weird. So I made a phone call to my the guy who ran my school, superintendent, and I needed a pep talk. So he gave me a pep talk. It was really good. He said, "Hang in there, you'll get a job. Just keep on going for what you want." So finally I got an interview with the guy where I wanted that job. I got the job in a weird circumstance because I had to interview with a whole bunch of other people. But I got the job. So Spirit kept me going when I remember feeling so alone. Nobody wanted to talk to me at the conference from my school because I had just broken up with my husband and they thought I was on a manhunt. Not a manhunt, I was on a job hunt. So I was feeling really alienated, and I had nobody to talk to. And so I just really had to be strong in my heart and no, I'm just going to keep your eye on the prize and go for that, go for what you want. And I did get what I wanted. But Spirit did say to me, everything happens for a reason, because they were showing me that the people that I thought were my friends that had come from my school to that conference were false friends. They weren't my friends. They just didn't care, which that's fine, because really when people are like that, they're not meant to be in your space, right? So that's a reminder for all of you who may have been struggling in relationships where people haven't been there for you and you feel alone and alienated, but there's always someone who is going to be there for you just to listen, with no judgment, with no telling you what to do, none of that at all. And when you have those people, you hang on to them because they are an integral part of their life and they're meant to be in your life. And the other ones will fall away, and that's okay too, because remember, we're not all on the same path. We have chosen very, very different paths, and that's why sometimes you'll come together with some people and sometimes you won't. And then maybe years later you'll come together with those people again because they've gone through some changes and you've gone through some changes and it balanced out, and then your energies can be compatible. And I heard simpatico. So that's something to be reminded of, because we're not always meant to be with the same people all the time, because sometimes we outgrow people and sometimes people outgrow us. That's part of the spirituality in our lives, right? So as long as you're growing and changing in the way that you want to go, that you're saying, that is perfect. They made a little kitty joke. I'm going to talk about manifesting, and I'll tell you a little bit about like my history of manifesting, and you're going to laugh probably, and then I'll talk about the manifesting I've been doing lately. And it's fun because they said that life is meant to be fun and it's meant to be enjoyable, and you're meant to treat it like a game. So years ago, I used to love to make these collages, and that was before they made vision boards. And I had a boyfriend when I lived in Bangkok after I broke up with my husband, and he was African, and he is just a beautiful man. So after that, I was always really attracted to the energy of these, an African man, a certain kind, like it was their personality. It wasn't just that, they were from there or whatever. So I made this collage, and in the collage, I loved how my African boyfriend had taken care of his body. It was really nice, naturally. He just did sit-ups and push-ups and things like that. Didn't go to the gym or anything. So I put a picture of a, nice looking man on my collage thing. But I also loved going to the mountains. And so I put a picture of a guy with a horse and, gear on the horse, and he was in the mountains. And he just happened to, it was at Marblehead, so didn't think anything of that and just kept that away. I'd look at it every so often, but I put in pictures of things that I like coffee and running and really soft, comfortable bedding and things like that. I totally love bedding. So, I don't know how many years passed, and I meet the guy. That farrier, I had posted on Instagram and Facebook about it. He was my husband, and he died at the time I'm making this video, just like 6.5 years ago. So when I met him, Not really my kind of guy, but I liked the way he went through his day. I liked how he spoke to people. I liked how he treated people, and he was an interesting person. So we end up, moving in together and everything. Well, look at that poster, and that guy I met looks just like the Marlboro Man in my thing, but he also has some history of, African Americans in his family, because I went to his cousin's place and I was like, who are those people in the picture? And he's like, that's my uncle's parents. I'm like, they don't even look like, they just look white, like that's so weird. And he's like, yeah, those are his parents. So it's interesting how we manifest things because after I met him, I wasn't attracted to, African men after that. It was just like gone because he was the energy I was attracted to. It wasn't the package, it was what was inside the package, because I didn't really like, country and western stuff. I'm like, whatever, not my world, but that's manifesting. And so be careful when you make those vision boards, because be very careful, because you can manifest exactly what's in there. Still love coffee, still love running, love my bedding, all that stuff is in there. And I manifested that Marlboro Man, so that was interesting. So lately, I'm playing this game like during my day, and I'm like, okay, so I say to Spirit, I want you to send me someone like kind of person that I'd be interested in. So they like, boom, that happens like during the day, like later on in the day, and it's like, oh my God, that's so cool. And they said to me, we want you to know how fast things can happen when you make it like a game. Like just, hey, just send something to me. Because when you're in receiving mode, receptive mode, you're like an antenna, right? But when you're in the closed phase, you're like this, not receptive at all. And see, my lighting went kind of weird too. It like went dark. So like you're in a darker space. That's weird. So they want you to be like an antenna, right? There, look at that. See, it changed. Okay, that was cool. They want you to think antenna and not closed. And I'm not going to do that again because then my lighting will change. So you see, they play games with me, and in a couple of videos I made earlier on, like in the summer, there was like a flash in the videos in a couple of them, and they were just playing around. And then there was a bird like making all these weird noises. So they want you to have fun, and they want you to play. And I think it's like there's a saying that fun in games is the angel's way. And they're saying a lot of you have been praying to your angels, but you haven't really been in receiving mode because you've been feeling so desperate about your life. And I'm hearing one of you watching, you have a friend that's been ridiculing you and making fun of you behind your back, and you know it, yet you won't do anything about it. So they're saying there's two things you can do. One, you can come to terms with it by dealing with it, because if you don't deal with it, you're going to have another friend that does it to you, okay? So what you don't deal with is going to come back, and they said bite you in the ass. So you have this knowledge that someone's doing this to you, and you're allowing it to happen because you're, oh, that's just their way, and they don't really mean it, or they're saying something like that. So you've been making excuses for them. But they said as long as you continue to do that, make allowances for people who are harmful energetically like that, you're always going to be a victim. But once you stand up for yourself and you say either, please don't do that to me because I know you're doing it, right? Because you're psychic, you have psychic awareness. Or two, you walk away from that relationship. And when you do, you've severed that connection with that person, and you just say, no, I'm not doing this anymore, because if I continue to if you continue to be feeling sorry for people and you're friends with them because of that, and I've been guilty of that, I've had relationships with people because I feel bad for them, I feel sorry for them. Please don't do that. You're saying, be genuine, be the genuine, like sincere article, and be friends with people that you like their energy. And your friends can come in all different sizes, packages, and ages. You don't have to just, well, I'm this age and I can only have friends my age. That's not true. You can have friends of every age because your soul recognizes their energy. And then when you connect, it's like, it's like that old, fun, comfortable shoe And you always have fun with that person, or you always have these great conversations, and it's just like wide open, and you can talk about anything, and nobody gets offended. Because you know, when people get offended, it's because they are insecure, because they feel they're being judged. But the only one who's judging them is them, right? And once we stop judging people, it's like, we can all get along. And with some people, I just say, let's just agree to disagree. And I had to do that with my horse husband, because we had such different opinions. Oh my goodness. And it made me laugh, because I was like, what's the spiritual component of this? And, I could hear horses talking to me, or horses would do weird things for me. Once I was trying to, my husband was trying to catch this horse of mine to put a halter on her so he could trim her feet. And she wouldn't have anything to do with them. So, and all our horses were in the round pen together, and they were all going to get their feet done. And we had some mules in there too. So I go in there with the halter, and I gave her a few treats and whatever. But you know what those horses did for me? They corralled her, and they put her in a box, and they boxed her in for me, put the halter on, took her out of the round pen, and he's like, here you go. He's like, how'd you do that? And I said, they helped me. Right? Because I wasn't frustrated and I wasn't trying to overpower her. Just wanted to get the halter on her so I could get her feet trimmed. And she was a little shy because she hadn't been handled much. So, animals can help us. People can help us. My favorite thing, and I hope this has happened to you. This is so fun. Okay, so this may have happened to you, and I hope it has. And if it hasn't, then I want you to look for it. So sometimes we'll have someone who walks into our life, like we're just out and about in public, or they could come to the door or something like that, and they're actually an earth angel. And they will deliver messages to you that are very specifically meant for you, and then they will disappear and you will never see them again. Earth angels. And I've had that happen on several occasions. One was when I was going back home to Grand Prairie, and I was in Edmonton, and I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee. And there was a man sitting at the table. He's the only one in there. And I remember now, he was sitting at a round table, and he kind of had his elbow like this. And he looked at me as I was walking out, and he said to me, have a safe trip home. And I was like, cool. And that was right before I met Ralph too. So my Marlboro man. So then another time I was in a gas station, and I had come back from somewhere, and there's this man standing at the counter in the restaurant, the gas station, and he was shaking his head. He said, dirty, dirty, very dirty. I was like, what's he talking about? But I realized he was talking about where he had just come from, where these people were in a relationship, and it was not a good one. And so I told someone about it, and they said, oh, they were talking about where you came from, like not about the bathroom. Because I was like, the bathroom is really clean. I just come out of the bathroom. So earth angels are there for you. And you know what? Please ask for messages, and please ask for signs, and ask for some fun. Just play a game and manifest something really easy. Say, hey, I say, send me like someone, a cute looking man, so I could just like see, admire him. Because lots of people my age, they haven't taken care of themselves, and it's just, when you take care of yourself and your body and your mind and your spirit, you want to attract someone who's like you. And that's why if you're watching this and you're in a relationship that's not working, or you're not in a relationship and you want to manifest one that will match your energy, you are intended to wait, I hear, until you get to that point where you've done enough work on yourself so you can attract someone who can handle your energy. Or if you're in a relationship that's not working, you're meant to look at it and see why it's not working. Have you outgrown each other? Have you become stagnant and you forgot to love each other and care for each other? And here's my motto for knowing if you're in a relationship that's meant for you or not. If you can imagine your life without that person, then you're not meant to be there. But if you can't imagine a day going by without being with that person or talking to them or having some sort of connection, then you are in the right relationship. And even if it's hard, it means that you are totally meant to be together because your souls belong together. Yeah, and that's how you create heaven on earth. Thank you so much for watching. My next video will be on mind, body, and spirit. All right.